Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome back to PC Disaster Part 2. Just a quick one, to give you an update. It's now been about 36 hours since I realised my computer wasn't working properly. If there's a bit of a strobing effect, I apologise. It's because I'm using my floodlight at the moment because I'm getting everything set up. Because tomorrow I'm rebuilding my computer. I spent a lot of the time between now and when the PC was found to be broken, trying to get it working, and I've failed. I've narrowed things down to likely the motherboard, potentially CPU, but everything else has been swapped and changed and moved, and it keeps doing the same restart, reboot, freezing on OS loads, freezing on utility loads, and all sorts. So I'm calling it gone. That motherboard and or processor had it, which means I've ordered replacement. Now, I could have spent £200 on a motherboard which was similar and rebuilt just with the motherboard, but I was planning on buying a new motherboard next year anyway. So I really begrudge buying one this year and then buying one next year when I do my PC upgrade. So what I've decided to do is that this year I'm going to do my PC upgrade. Next year I will upgrade my GPU. Maybe sooner if I can. I don't know if I'll be able to. So I've bought a new motherboard, a new CPU, some new RAM, and then because my new motherboard has M.2 capabilities, I've bought a couple of new drives. Just to replace the SSDs, really. I don't know if I'll get much of a kick of an upgrade. I think I will. And I didn't really look into it. The prices, and there was some good offers on. So I took the offers, took the compatibility in, and then it's just cooling. So just behind me, I've got a bench set up in my office with the case sat on there. I can't move you to show you now because my phone is out of power, which for a Pixel 4 is very unusual. I've been using it all day to research and look at things, check my orders, it's been like laptop in one hand trying to fix the computer, phone in the other trying to find the commands and all that sort of thing. So it's been heavy use for the poor phone all day. But I've got my case on the bench. I've turned my power supply the right way around now. That was nothing to do with the problems, but whilst I was cleaning the case out, I noticed it was the wrong way. And I've moved some of the fans as well. So the new cooler is going on the front. The old cooler was on the top. So I've just swapped some fans around so that I'll be able to do that. So in the morning, when the new parts arrive, I will be able to build my new computer. So the case is staying, the power supply unit's staying. It's a good one. It's a 1,000-watt one. It's not that old. So that's good. There's a Blu-ray drive in there that will be staying, and I'm going to keep the old hard drives. Now, the data and the hard drives. I did have a 6TB RAID in the drive, which was brilliant when I've ever had any hard drive failures, and I have. My data's been saved, and it's been a relatively straightforward and clean process to upgrade, which has been to restore, which has been fantastic in the past. But the problem is that RAID was controlled by that motherboard, and now it was an absolute nightmare. I must have spent about half of today just trying to get back at that data, just trying to get the motherboard with just enough life into it to boot some sort of utility to be able to RAID them or check the status. And eventually, I did actually manage to get the RAID utility going on the motherboard. I have no idea how. I just played around with BIOS for ages. Because I figured it's broken, I may as well fiddle with it. And I got into the RAID utility, and it says the drives were non-RAID drives, which means the RAID was broken somehow, and I didn't have any options. I couldn't get into Ubuntu to use tools and utilities to be able to do diagnostics there. So I ended up putting the drives in a caddy, hooking them up to my laptop, and running some utilities from there. And I found a utility that looked on a drive. It just ignored everything. It just looked for partitions. And if you wanted to take that partition from from inside of a RAID or from inside anywhere and just elevate it to a standard partition, it could. And it did. So now I have that hard drive USB'd to my server where I'm making a copy of the data. And the idea is that I will eventually have both of those drives back in the computer. But at some point, I'm going to have to wipe one to get things ready as part of the process. And I don't want to be left with one copy of my data. That's a bad idea. So I've got 2 drives with the data on that were arrayed. One of them I'm using to copy to the server. The server is going to be pretty much full by the time I've done this, but I'll clean it up afterwards. Then I'll end up with 3 copies because I'll have the 2 RAID drives and the server. Then I'll wipe one of the RAID drives, use that for the PC build, and when I'm happy that that's worked, I'll bring across the data that I want in the files and folders that I want. I'll probably do that over the network maybe at some point. And then when I'm happy that's working, what I'm thinking I might do is bring the second drive over and not RAID it this time. I might run a nightly backup utility to copy files across. And there's 2 reasons for that. If ever there's a problem with the RAID, then it doesn't mean I've got difficult drives to work with. If one of my drives die, I've either got an up-to-date backup or like the last night or the last day's backup, only like a day-old data. So I'm not going to lose too much. And the advantage of that is that if something goes wrong on my primary drive and I'm working with it and for some reason it fails, or a file gets corrupt, or I accidentally permanently delete something, well, it's not going to get synced over until the night time, so I can just go to the other drive and grab a copy of it, which is an advantage. So I'm thinking about doing that, and I'm also going to expand my cloud storage, and I'll partition the 6 terabyte drives into the size of my cloud storage plus the rest. So I will have backed up every night partition, and I'll have a continuously synced with the cloud partition. Depending on how important the data is, it can go in one partition or the other. I think for me that's the best solution because I've got my personal stuff on there, I've got business stuff on there, I've got Master Hellish things, so I've got lots of a big variety of different media and data and files. Some of it is I've got videos, I've got folders of thousands and thousands of raw photos and all sorts of different media. So being able to choose the kind of severity and how much I want it backed up and how, I think is going to be a good way to go about that. So that drive is still backing up to the server. Looking at its progress, I think it might be ready in the morning. I don't know. It's a USB 2 connection, I think. So it's not going to be running fast. Before anybody comments, there's no SATA ports left in that server. That server is maxed out on SATA ports because of the parity array that's inside there from all my old drives. So the server backup drive, which I'm backing up to, is actually a RAID of a sort anyway. I'm not sure, it's not my area of expertise. But there we go, folks. So, number 1. I got most of my data back without having to resort to weird or potentially costly solutions. Thank goodness I had it RAIDed and stuff in the first place, because if one of these drives failed in the copy, I've got another one. And I've got a new computer to build in the morning. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow, I'll be telling you that I have a new computer, it's running and working, and I have all the basics configured and set up and running. It's going to take me a while to get all my applications and programs in and sorted. I'm not going to just move over the SSD with the operating system on because I've got a fresh computer. I think it's about time for a fresh start for an OS install. So there we go, folks. It's been a nightmare. It's given me headaches, actual headaches. And it's been so stressful and a terrible situation. But at the moment, I should have a new computer tomorrow. And I don't think I've lost any data. I think I'll go to bed now. See you tomorrow, folks. Goodbye.